Welcome to the CTC Curse Remedy. Today's date is July 27, 2026. My name is Nang Hong Lam. Today's video is on what happened on the previous video, which is titled Adora FIP Update. Kind of like my response to that, and also I will title it today's video as Fighting for Equality, Recognitions, and Credit. Or close to that, something like that, basically to have some sort of equality, recognitions, and credit. Because if I say fighting for equality, recognition, and credit, it might seem like I have some kind of equality, recognition, and credit. Pretty much on yesterday video, Adora 5th update, I was pointing out that the reason I have to make that video is because writing Adora and reading Adora becoming very stressful to me, and so I have to make that video to relieve some of the stresses in my life and things like that. And so pretty much while I was making that video, pretty much I have to delete like almost half of that video, pretty much, like, because as I was making that video toward the end, I felt even more stressful than when I first began to make that video. So it was kind of like becoming like opposite of the goal I was trying to achieve, try to like basically relieve some of the stresses, like how I was announced right at the start of the video. It's like I was saying that I want to make this video because it's becoming very stressful for me to write Adora, writing the Adora book series, or proofreading the Adora book series. Like, even though I call it book series, but it's like to go with what I have announced myself as the independent novelist. So it would kind of, in a way, have to. It's just because of the different words, novels and book. I don't know if this just, kind of like, in a way, just bear with me if you felt like this is, I don't, just for now, just see that I'm gonna pause for a second. Basically, I just paused it to just kind of take a deep breath of air, and basically, that's not the point right now. The Adora book series and my independent novelist occupation. So I'm just gonna move on. Anyway, so pretty much, so as the video continue, toward the end of the video, I become very more stressful than I first began, saying the goals to relieve some stress, and pretty much that's by this time got to the second video, it was just becoming ridiculous, and pretty much I have to delete the second video, which is about 20 to 30 minutes long. And anyway, so that's why today I'm making this video to basically I'm gonna pause the video for a second. Okay, I paused the video to take out a layer of my shirt because of it's summertime, so getting the hot weather, so just kind of like not be too hard with the extra layer of shirt I'm wearing. And okay, back to what I'm saying. Okay, so anyway, today's video is to talk about what happened on the previous video, Ada 5th update. Okay, so anyway, I don't know, I've been battling by these thoughts is that maybe it's just really too difficult to have this novelist occupation. Maybe that's what I'm like this. So I just keep battling by this thought. Maybe there's something about it, but yet if you know, it's just it's already, yet there's just so much encouragement and inspirations. Like I wrote in my like the acknowledgement sections at like the sort of like in a way I have created an acknowledgement section on book one. I mean, I haven't really go through like proofreading process for all of them, you know, sort of like in a way on one I put more time into try to, you know, like have a proofreading it and seeing how it would look like if it's being published and things like that. So like, you know, trying to okay, I'll talk more about this later. After, maybe if I have more time, I'll talk more. I'll get back to what I'm trying to say. So pretty much, basically, I just want to say that throughout my school year, like what I wrote in my acknowledgement, is that my English teachers throughout my school years, just gonna name them quickly, like so that you know who I'm talking about and things like that. So my 6th and 7th grade English teacher, Mrs. Atwell, my 9 and 10 English teacher, 9th grade and 10th grade English teachers, Miss Spector, my 11th grade English teacher, Coach Sheehy, and my 12th grade English teacher, Miss Spector, my 11th grade English teacher, Coach Sheehy, and my 12th grade English teacher, Miss Spector, and my 12th grade English teacher, Coach Sheehy, and my 12th grade English teacher, Miss Spector, and my 12th grade English teacher, advisor Brian Kurt. Okay, so anyway, my English teachers throughout the school years, they have been giving me a lot of encouragements and inspirations to follow my goal to become a novelist. So it's just sort of like, in a way, I already done that a lot back in my school year, just saying that maybe, even though, like apologizing to my English teacher, that this goal on becoming a novelist is maybe just too difficult for me and things like that. I mean, I already done a lot back then, it's like, okay, I kind of paused the video to just breathe in some deep breaths of air so that it doesn't have to end up like what happened yesterday, becoming very stressful and everything toward the end of the video. So I'm just trying to, pace this video, avoid what happened like the last video, and I'll get back to what I'm saying. Alright, so pretty much, so I don't know, like each time I felt that maybe it's too hard for me to have this novelist occupations. I felt like I already done a lot of that back in my school, like middle school and high school years. It's like, so and then pretty much what I really want is sort of like an activist, activist fighting for my rights, like the right so that I could have some sort of equality, recognition, and credits, like what I was saying. The title of this video is, that to fight for that equalities and recognitions and credits is pretty much that's what I should be doing, not novelist occupation. I should be like an activist fighting for that, equality, recognitions, and credits. Okay, I have to pause the video again just to make sure I don't be like what happened a lot on the previous video, becoming too stressful and everything. So I'll probably be doing that throughout this video. Just pause to give myself a chance to take some deep breaths of air and to not get to not make the video become too stressful and things like that. And okay, back to what I'm saying. Anyway, so pretty much that's what I'm supposed to be doing, becoming activist and fighting for my equality, recognitions, and credits, not the novelist occupations. But yet, like I was saying, that I already did a lot of that, like apologizing to my English teacher back then, that it would be too difficult for me to have that goal on becoming a novelist. Pretty much right now, I felt like I'm caught in the middle of some kind of limbo or something, that it's just very difficult situations to explain about. Pretty much, I think, like, maybe it have something to do with equality. Like I haven't really been fighting very hard about having equalities and recognition and credits in my life while I'm speaking right now and expecting to have those things. Nevertheless, on the previous video, Adara FIP update, I brought up a scene back on November 2001 when I made my proposal to the Mission Bay High School journalism. And basically, the two-person who was in charge of that journalism department is advisor of the Beachcomber Brian Kerr and advisor of the and chief of the Beachcomber Chief Julia. So basically, I was making a proposal to them, and in the proposal, I was saying that, please just give me a chance at the journalism tryout, and for some really hard to believe outcome that I passed this journalism tryout, then throughout the years is for any reason you guys felt like wanted to kick me out of the journalism department, you could do so. So kind of like in a way, I felt that more or less, that could argue as I've been fighting for equality and recognitions and credits as, but it just really difficult in my situation. Basically, I think it really have to do with maybe because okay, I kind of paused the video to stop myself from getting into more creating more problems as to what I'm trying to point out and making this video becoming too stressful and everything. Basically, I just wanted to say that pretty much I have to pause it again because of the background activities. Anyway, basically, I just wanted to say that it's just very hard for me. I mean, it just might not. I don't know how it become like. Pretty much, I think it doesn't. It's not that simple, and to just say that I want to become an activist, fighting for my equality, recognitions, and credits and things like that. Because the journalist, that is also similar to the activist occupation, and it's just an example. It's just like a chance, just for a journalism tryout, and it's just very difficult for me and everything already. And anyway, I'm pausing to look at the time. Pretty much, I try to wanted to make sure this video is not too long so that I have some time to cook some breakfast, so that I have some breakfast to eat after, you know, pretty much just have some breakfast to eat. It's like, I mean, even though right now it's still early, like I was just saying, like later on in the morning, like when I'm during my breakfast time, I have some breakfast to eat, so that pretty much just wanted to make sure this video doesn't get too long, like take up the time for me to cook my breakfast and things like that. Anyway, because of the very hard for me to become an activist fighting for my equality, recognitions, and credit. So I felt that because of that, it would lead to some kind of conspiracy that these videos is my YouTube channel where I am speaking in front of the camcorder. Either I am, it might sound a bit awkward and everything, either I am like a poor slave that's still living in the poor feudal countryside of Song Ba, Vietnam, or I got elected as the president of the United States. In other words, this conspiracy, it's very confusing. It's just like two things that just seem so awkward and weird and everything. It's like, why? How am I still a poor slave living in the poor feudal countryside of Song Ba, Vietnam? I'm currently living in the USA, and how am I got elected as the president of the United States of America? It's pretty obvious. If I did get elected as the president, I would know about it. It's like pretty much this very confusing situations would lead to I am being possessed by the president of the United States of America. Pretty much, I something like that. It's like sort of like in a way it is total chaos and total doomsday. Like I am just a person who is, you know, have to self proclaim that it is very hard for me to, have to become an activist who's fighting for my equality, my recognitions, and credits is. So it would be like, come on, getting elected as the president of the United States of America. Anyway, I have to pause the video because it's just so much tensions there, it's just. Okay, anyway, I've just been thinking that probably USA is a lot better than a lot of country on, like having equalities, recognitions, and credit. Felt that USA have done better than a lot, like sort of like in comparison with a lot of country around the world. USA is one of the country that give that, to the citizen, more of a equalities and recognition and credits is like USA have done that more, like you get better chance at that than other countries and things like that. Sort of like in a way, like looking at the past history where like you have all these immigrants who have, gone through a lot of struggles. I don't know how the USA immigration process work because I'm not a government official who work in this department, the immigration USA immigration process and things like that. But like I'm saying, pretty much that a lot of people would, you know, wanted to come to the USA because of the equality, recognitions and credits and things like that. So I felt that's what happened. Like, in the past, looking at the USA history in the past, there was, a lot of immigrant who going through these struggles to come to USA because of those reasons. And I think that's what the Statue of Liberty stand for. It's like the liberty to have those things, equality, recognitions, and credits is. Okay, I kind of paused the video because I'm getting kind of off the topic, talking about immigrants and struggling to come to the USA. Anyway, back to what I'm saying. Basically, I just want, sort of like in a way, fighting, like what I've been saying, fighting for my equality, recognitions, and credits. Anyway, because of the very complicated and confusing situation, I have been saying the following a lot, that I'm gonna get run over by a car and die at the scene. It's, probably that's gonna be the outcome. It's like, sort of like in a way, and I'm gonna be dying with a lot of angers, hatred in me, and that's, saying that the USA, after all the struggle I go through, the USA still won't give me a chance. And pretty much, I kind of have to pause the video. Basically, I just felt that it's like, that's what I'm working on right now. Maybe that when that day did come, when I got run over by a car, die at the scene, just don't have to die with so much anger and hatred in me that, after all the struggle I went through and still didn't get a chance, and just don't want, it's what I'm doing right now, just trying to prevent that from happening. And it's like, I don't know, like, I think, sort of like in a way, wouldn't that be a better outcome, that I am being put out my pain and misery, sort of like in a way, I mean, all the struggle I went through, just made me in a lot of pain and misery. And, I get killed, isn't that saving me from all the pain and misery that I have to go through, it's sort of like in a way. So basically, I just want to clear that up so that I don't have to die with so much anger and hatred in me, because just look at my situation right now, I'm going through all this struggle, and it's like, just like a lot of pain and misery, and it's like, okay, anyway, back to writing Adora book series. Pretty much, that's what I'm doing, like, while I'm writing Adora book series, just to explain about my situation, why. And in a way that I'm using my novelist occupations as sort of like a activist who is fighting for equality, recognitions and credit. I don't know if this might becoming too complicated or confusing and things like that. But just looking at my situation, what other choices do I have? Also, I have to forgive myself for having the novelist occupation instead of an activist who's fighting for my equality, recognition, and credits. I felt that maybe if I have that activist, I'm that activist who's fighting for my equality, recognitions, and credits, maybe I have a better chance at it than a novelist who's writing the Ada book series. Anyway, back to what I was saying earlier. Like either pretty much, this person right now, each time, when I make these videos is that what people seeing the person in these videos is I felt that it's either that poor slave in that's still living in the poor feudal countryside of Songba, Vietnam, or a person who got elected as the president of the USA. So so what so like in a way it's that that the upsetting reply, it's like what are you fighting for? So like in a way you're either that poor slave or the president of the United States. Where's that fighting spirit, fighting for equalities and recognitions and credits is, it's like where's that at? It's like when are you gonna have some sort of equality, recognitions and credit if it's what all people see is either you are that poor slave or got elected as the president of the United States. So how are you gonna able to have to have some kind of equality, recognitions and credits in your life if that's all people ever gonna see it? It's like in other words, that's just an indication to say that I still don't have equality, recognition and credit because that's all people ever not gonna give me any kind of that's that's pretty much that's the way, so like seeing me as either that poor slave or a person who got elected as president of the United States is just a way of saying I don't have any equality, recognitions, and credits in my life. As for that chance at the journalism tryout on November 2001, that chance, just to have that chance, I have to went through a lot of process, years of time, and went through a lot of process just for that journalism, that chance at the journalism tryout on November 2001. And that moment making my proposal to advisor Brian Kerr and Chief Julia. Mama was saying that, just, please give me this journalism tryout and for any it's like so like if for some reason it's just not like just like even if it's just really hard that I beat the odds is and passed it the journalism tryout, and you guys could still kick me out of the journalism at any time for any reason. So like in a way, it's like, remember like the moment I see them, making that proposal to them, and so like in a way that, and that, just that chance, have to go through so much struggle and so much process for that chance, and in overcoming being alone, breathed. Well, I'm gonna say the title again. In overcoming being alone, and Atlantica briefed its summarizations video, I kind of went into more detail talking about that journalism tryout on November 2001. So, for any reason, if you want to know more about that journalism tryout that I have on November 2001, then watch that video again. It's toward like second half of the video. So 7-part video. So it's sort of like getting to the middle, like about 4, 5, 6, part 4, 5, 6. So kind of like in the second half of it, those 7-part videos. Anyway, I'm being battered by the dot right now. Like what it takes for a person to come up to me and talk to me about that journalism tryout on November 2001. Sort of like in a way acknowledge that that day did exist. That I did have that chance at the journalism tryout. Sort of like in a way, what do I have to do? For to have that recognition that that day did existed. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up this video and start cooking my breakfast. Pretty much, the whole reason I'm making this video is because just, going to the grocery, having a talk with another person, watching a movie, just any tiny little things I do in my life, that is becoming like some kind of big problems is in my life. And at the same time, it's just like I'm still, like fighting for equality, recognition, and credits. Like, have I got elected as president of the United States? Oh, something so ridiculous. Come on. It's just like, have I even got that chance at that recognition that I have a chance at the journalism tryout on November 2001? It's like, so pretty much that's. Just have to pause the video for a second. Okay, anyway, I just paused the video to give myself a chance to take some deep breath of air. Okay, anyway, pretty much I pretty much like when I get run over by a car and die at the scene and full of a lot of anger and hatred, and I want to blame myself, that I should have become, an activist who is fighting for my equality. Kind of like in a way, activist who's fighting for equality, recognitions, and credits in general. It's like instead of having the novelist occupation. So it's like I'm get run over by a car and die at the scene, and having all this anger and hatred in me, blaming myself. I should have become an activist, fighting for my equality, recognitions, and credit, instead of having the novelist occupation. And when that day happened, just want to say that, I'm trying very hard, fighting for equality, recognitions, and credits. I don't know, like, I it's just so much complications and confusion to point out that all I got was that chance at that journalism trial on November 2001. It's just, it's like, why is that? Why is it have to be like that? So like in a way, it's like, anyway, maybe that day, even maybe that when that day arrived, maybe after I get run over by a car, the person will back the car up and make sure they kill me, like instantly, like maybe back the car up and run me over a few times. Make sure, I don't have to go through all that anger and hatred, like dying in those dying moments. So after they run me over, they probably just back up and forth, run me over multiple times. It's like, anyway, so I just want to stop tormenting myself, thinking I might have another chance, like something like that chance at the journalism trial on November 2001. So I just want to stop tormenting myself on that. Anyway, I've been saying I'm gonna get run over by a car and die at the scene. I've been bringing that up a lot. Basically, I've been saying that a lot in these videos as I made. So I felt maybe that could be something that could happen because I talk about so much. And so basically, when that day did happen, like I was saying earlier, just like, I basically I just want to say that I did everything I know how and my best, but it seems like if I did that, then it probably wouldn't be that outcome and things like that. And kind of in a way, just want to just say that just just it's gonna be no matter. I it's gonna have a lot of pain, and you're gonna feel a lot of pretty much telling myself, that I'm gonna be in a lot of pain, and also I'm gonna be feeling with a lot of anger and hatred in me. So basically, just kind of want to give myself that heads up. That's what I'm gonna be in, and at my last dying moments after I get run over by a car and die at the scene. So that's what I'm gonna go through. So I just kind of want to give myself that heads up. Okay, so anyway, if I have anything to add to this video, I will add to the next video. Thank you for watching PTTS. Thank you for following PTTS. I'm gonna end this video in 3, 2, one